Black Canyon is fast becoming one of, if not the most competitive ultra in the US, perhaps even challenging Western States for that crown. And whilst Western States brings together golden ticket winners from a variety of races with differing terrains, due to the runnable nature of the course at Black Canyon, as well as the lack of any lottery or barrier to entry, year after year it seems to host the fastest fields assembled in ultra running, with a great mix of seasoned ultra racers, up-and-coming talent, and road runners moving over to the trails. There are now 3 Western States golden tickets on offer here for both the men's and women's field, with ticket roll down as far as 6th place. So it's a fantastic opportunity to earn a spot at States, and is one of the main reasons behind Black Canyon becoming more and more competitive year after year. This time though, there's the added incentive of points on offer for the World Trail Major Series. It'll be interesting to see how that affects things. I'm thinking that most will be chasing golden tickets, but for those who already have tickets or fall out of the ticket positions, maybe they'll hang on for some extra World Trail Majors points and we'll see a lower DNF rate at the front. Now before we get into the contenders, I'll just provide a little bit more evidence behind the theory that Black Canyon is becoming the fastest 100k field around. On the men's side, there's an insane amount of guys who've run under 2:30 for the marathon, and at least 5 or 6 who've gone under 2:20, with one going even as low as just under 2:11. On the women's side, again there's a handful that have gone under the 2:37 Olympic trials qualifying time, and there's even more that have gone under 2:45, with the fastest coming in at 2:30. So yeah, this field is stacked, and I know marathon PBs aren't the best way to compare ultra runners, but in this instance, when talking about how incredibly talented these runners are, I think it's worth a mention. But that's not to say the tickets are guaranteed to go to the fastest runners out there. Ultimately, what makes this sport so great is that it's rarely about who has the fastest PB, and more about who can manage and execute the best race plan. Which brings me on to my final point. Most years, as you can imagine with a fast, fairly flat desert race, the temperatures, and therefore the rate of attrition, are high. This year though, it's looking like a cool year, with rainfall in the days leading up to it, so perhaps that levels the strategic playing field a little and it will come down to speed. Or perhaps it goes the opposite way and a little bit of mud nullifies that top end speed. Either way, it's going to be exciting. I wouldn't be surprised if we see course records fall, and I cannot wait to follow along. The fields are incredibly deep, with 20 plus names I could mention in both fields, so no doubt I'll miss someone. Be sure to let me know who I've missed in the comments, or if you know of any low profile shredders I should be looking out for. I'll try and keep this brief. As I said, there's a lot of names to mention, but I'm going to cover 3 from each field in a little bit more detail, and then rattle off a few more names you should be looking out for. Finally, if you're playing Fantasy Free Trail, they've just introduced mini leagues, so I've set one up for the channel. There's a link in the description. Feel free to join and see how your picks stack up against mine and other channel viewers. I'm sure plenty of you will beat me. Anyway, let's jump into it. With so many runners to talk about, the best place to start is probably who I think is going to win this thing. Hayden has proved plenty of times he can hold his own in deep competitive fields, with wins at CCC, JFK and this very race back in 2020. Plus he's had a 2nd place finish at Western States after leading for much of the first 70 miles. He had a disappointing 2023 where he struggled with injuries, but hearing him talk on his recent Single Track podcast interview, he seemed to have done everything possible to come back better than ever, and given his experience competing at this level, he's a solid pick for the win. We're now a year and a half into Heather Jackson's ultra running career, and she's only getting better. She initially seemed to have issues with her pacing and going off a little bit too hard, leading for much of the 2022 Javelina 100 and last year's Black Canyon before fading in the latter stages, although she did hang on for 2nd at Black Canyon. But at her return to Javelina back in October, she resolved these issues and produced a performance that makes me think she'll be dominant at anything flatter and faster over the coming years, running the 2nd fastest time in history, winning by over half an hour and claiming a golden ticket back into Western States. So I'm certain she'll take it out hard here again at Black Canyon, running at the front, and this year I think she holds on, taking the win, and I bet on the course record going as well. There are so many interesting athletes in this field, including those stepping up in distance or moving over from the roads, but for me, one of the most interesting is Jared Hazen. A few years ago, I'd have been certain that Jared would be one of the sport's superstars by now, following in the footsteps of someone like Jim Walmsley. But the last couple of years haven't really gone to plan for the man who's ran the 2nd fastest time in Western States history, aged just 24, back in 2019, and it almost seems tragic that that run wasn't a winning performance. I'm not entirely sure what's gone wrong in the years since, with his best result of 2023 being 6th at the Speedgoat 50k. Whatever the reason, I really hope Jared starts 2024 where he left off in 2019 and can earn himself another shot at Western States. But whether he can still hang at the front in a competitive field like this is a big question mark. I'm going to take the risk though and pick him for a golden ticket. His underlying talent is still there, he just needs things to click again. Rachel Drake, at least in recent years, has been best known for her performances over sub-ultra and shorter ultra distances, such as impressive results on the Golden Trail World Series, a 6th place at OCC, a win here at Black Canyon on the 60k course, a win at the 30k over in Hong Kong just a few weeks ago, and just prior to that she ran 2:35 at CIM to qualify for the US Olympic Marathon Trials, which she decided to skip to focus on Black Canyon. She's done all of that whilst becoming a mother back in 2022, and she's spoken about having to overcome a challenging return to running afterwards. But Rachel now appears to be back to her best and is also no stranger to the 100k distance, having come 7th at CCC back in 2019 and winning the World 100k in 2018. I'm pretty confident that she'll be pushing Heather all the way here, and I wouldn't be surprised to see her take the win. I'm popping her in second though. Andrew Bumbelow has been getting a lot of attention going into this one, as the former Bowerman athlete who has run 13:12 for 5k, 2:10:56 for the marathon, and finished 5th at the 2018 Boston Marathon, has now turned his attention to the trails. I'm usually pretty skeptical when it comes to super fast marathoners jumping straight into high-level competitive ultras. I'm thinking John Ranieri last year at Black Canyon and Reed Coulsett the year before, who both ended up DNFing. But after hearing Andrew talk on the Free Trail podcast, he seems to really respect the other athletes in this field and knows that his speed doesn't guarantee him anything over this distance, so maybe he'll be the one to get it right. I'm going to pop him in my top 10, but I think he'll receive the same humbling that other road runners have in the past, and he won't be taking home the win or a ticket. There's just too many high-level experienced runners in this field. In a similar vein to Andrew Bumbelow, we have Marcy Clemec, who is the fastest woman in the field with a marathon PB of 2:30, set when she came 6th at CIM. But unlike Andrew, she has raced quite a few times on the trails. Most relevant is a win over the 100k distance at Waldo 100k last year, where she broke the course record, finished over an hour ahead of the second woman, and won the race outright. Obviously nowhere near the level of competition she'll face here, but invaluable experience over the 100k distance. A bit of a wild card for me, could win this thing, but I have her just missing out on the golden ticket spots. Okay, quick fire contenders time, starting with the men. If you want to bet on a fast road runner and you don't fancy Andrew Bumbelow, there's 2:14 marathoner Craig Hunt, who's also got quite a few trail wins to his name over 50k and has run under 7 hours for 100k at the Hoka Project Carbon X event. Or there's Nate Jukes, who's run 13:50 for 5k and is the training partner of Hayden Hawks. Then there's other major contenders for the win, Cole Watson and John Ray, who both already have spots at Western States, which is one of the reasons I've given the nod to Hayden, as I think he'll have that little bit of extra motivation, but the winner almost certainly comes from one of those three in my opinion. Eric Lapuma, Adam Merry and Ryan Montgomery have all been on a tear over the last couple of years, and they'll be worth keeping an eye on. Ryan is already in Western States, and I think Eric and Adam have a really good shot at a ticket, especially with ticket roll down to 6th place. Then along similar lines to Jared Hazen, some guys who've had success in the past but not so much recently, Tim Tollefson, Stephen Kirsch and David Laney. I'm super excited to see how they stack up to some of the recent big race winners and the up and coming talent in the sport. And then finally, just to list off some other names for you to look out for, Matt Seidel, Hans Troyer, Canyon Woodward, JP Giblin, Noah Dussault, Dan Green, Elliot Cardin, Rod Farvard and Pei Kwan Yu. Yeah, this field is ridiculous. On the women's side, there's two women who've had excellent performances at the World Trail Running Championships, MK Sullivan, who finished 9th on the short course, and Alison Backer, who finished 6th on the long course. Riley Brady just missed out on a golden ticket at the Javelina 100 back in October, but has the 4th fastest time in Javelina history, beating Heather Jackson there the year before in 2022. Then two women with plenty of experience, both with top 10 finishes at Western States, Lucy Bartholomew and Kat Drew. And while we're talking about Western States, I can't not mention that there's a Western States winner in this field in Kat Bradley. That win was back in 2017 though, and recent results haven't been so good, so I've no idea about her current form and if she's there to compete, but that'll be interesting to find out. And then it's always interesting to see what 22-year-old Shea Aquilano can do. She finished 6th here last year and will certainly be in the hunt for a ticket. Then a few more names to look out for. There's Kat Short, Tara Dower, Anne-Marie Madden, Anna Mae Flynn and Sarah Beale. I'll end this by quickly showing you my fantasy free trail picks. Again, don't forget to join the channel mini league, link in description. As I mentioned before, I'm going Heather Jackson and Hayden Hawks for the wins. The remaining men's golden tickets rolling past Cole and John Ray to Jared Hazen and Adam Merry. Then Rachel Drake, Alison Backer and Riley Brady taking home the tickets in the women's field. As always, let me know your picks in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back soon with more ultra running content. Cheers.